All right.
Hey, good evening. Happy, what is this? This is Wednesday. It's neither Friday nor is it Saturday. Please excuse me. I was caught with my pants. Welcome to our debut show, Voices from Fandom. I'm Mark. I'm one of the co-hosts, one of 3 times how many guests we may have in the future. We are the co-hosts of this show. Now, basically, what I wanted to do, because through my company, MBL Entertainment, do I look crooked? That's better. Through MBL Entertainment, my other shows that we do along with other co-hosts is Classic Television SmackDown and Saturday Morning Cartoons. Of course, Classic Television SmackDown is on Fridays. Classic Saturday Morning Cartoons, of course, is on Saturday mornings at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. I'm sorry, not 9 p.m. I decided that, okay, each one of those shows focuses on its own particular topic. Classic Television SmackDown, we concentrate on live action shows that we grew up with back in the days, whether it's 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I think we pretty much stop at 90s. I'm not sure on that. And then Saturday Morning Cartoons is what we do. We talk about animated shows that we grew up with back in the day. And they've been both highly successful. Saturday Morning Cartoons we have been doing for 6 years. Yes, 6 years. So what I wanted to do was basically focus a little bit on fandom in general. And I have 2 incredibly fantastic friends of mine, more talented than I ever will be, who are going to be our co-hosts for all of this. And I'm going to go ahead and bring them up right now. I'm actually looking through the tripod at the TV so I can see what I'm supposed to click. Mark Streed here and Joe Thompson. How the hell are you, buddies?
Good. Good to see you, man.
Great.
Good to see
awesome,
you.
Man.
Mark is coming from Colorado, and Joe is in outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia. So you're looking at 3 states here on the screen as we speak. Between the 3 of us, we have decades of experience in fandom in general.
It's true.
Mark and Joe have prepared shows, okay? We're breaking it up between the 3 of us like 10-minute long segments each. Unlike Classic Television and Saturday mornings, which we are doing this Friday and this Saturday, we focus on hour-plus topics, whether it's one show we have a topic on or a genre. I think, and I didn't put those banners up, but I will at some point. You can see the banner for Friday, and then, of course, you can see the banner for Saturday. So general fandom is what we want to get into, since the 3 of us are sci-fi, fantasy, horror fans, minus me on horror. But and we decided, let's do something different. Let's just talk about current events. And, oh, hello, Rose. One of the things I want to mention, and this is one example, if you guys get into our chat room, and if there's anything that you would like us to bring up, a topic, and there are obvious things that we're going to be bringing up without you telling us to, but if you have any ideas, any thoughts of how you basically want this show to go, and this will be a monthly show starting out, okay? We're going to give you guys a break from our faces, and appreciate the fact that we're going to screw up the first show.
Oh, yeah.
As usual, but what?
Oh, yeah, always. First shows are rough.
It's not a good show unless we make mistakes. So
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, so before we move into our segments, mine's going to be first. Let's go ahead and give a little bit of background right now of Mark. Mark, why don't you start off and tell people who you are, what you're into, how you got into whatever you want to say for now.
Yeah,
before you
definitely. Well, currently my full-time job is a content creator on YouTube for the Dice Tower. I do previews for board games that are coming out in the future. They don't exist yet. I get prototypes, I play them, and then I just talk about them. Usually it's a thematic script, like I try to talk about the gameplay in a thematic way to get people excited about it and so forth. So that's currently what I do. But I used to be a photographer, and I did stuff for Star Trek, Star Wars, and Back to the Future fan club magazines with Dan Matson. So I have a long line. And one of my favorite things is that our local convention, I started out as a fan, and then I worked it with Dan, and then I ended up, before it finally closed, as a guest. So I did the full circle on that convention circuit, and just been in fandom since the mid 80s, right? So it's pretty interesting and been quite the journey. And I'm a Colorado boy, but I have a lot of Hollywood ties, which is really fun. So
that's freaking awesome. I think on the gaming end, you're into the board games, all that kind of stuff. I'm a classic guy, and we'll get to me later on, but I'll tell you about what my board games were.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
I don't think I can keep up with anything that you guys probably put out now. And
well, you'd be surprised. It's really fun, actually. So
yeah, you know what? Mark and I have never met in person.
No, which is so weird. Dan introduced us online, and we've just known a virtual friendship.
yeah, just been good friends since.
Yep.
But someone who I did meet before we started conversing over the internet is my next buddy down here, which is Joe Thompson. Joe, tell people what you do, and the most interesting part of it is how you met me. So why don't you go ahead and tell the audience that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Joe Thompson, lifelong geek. As far as I can remember, loved Star Wars and comic books and anything sci-fi, fantasy related. And I'm kind of a pop culture junkie in that respect. Love the MCU, the Marvel movies, Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. But primarily, like outside of my day job, my kind of side gig, side hustle is I'm an artist, specifically comic artist. So I've got published indie comic work. I also do a lot of work for local businesses, usually friends, local businesses, a lot of like graphic T-shirts that are sci-fi, horror, fantasy themed for like bars, rock venues, bands, things like that. And I've been doing Dragon Con specifically since my first one was in '92 to go meet Todd McFarlane, who was one of my comic artist heroes. That's a whole nother story. And then I went intermittently once or twice more through the '90s and a couple more times in the early 2000s. And then around 2000, I want to say 2012 or 13, I started going yearly, and I've been going every year ever since. I've got a great little tribe there at Dragon Con, and I'm a legacy.
A drinking tribe.
Yeah. they do love their pie, their apple pie. So, and Mark actually did an interview of one of my my heroes, Stanley. And it was a very poignant moment because it was not only Stanley's last major con appearance, but it was the first one he had done after his wife had passed away, and they had been together forever. And so just the way that Mark Lee handled it and handled him with kid gloves and with the utmost respect. And so I was like, I got to meet this dude. And so he happened to be hanging out with my crew, and I introduced myself and, showered in my praises. And I really was impressed because, when you go to these conventions, you see moderators that, are anywhere from, just okay to great. But when you have those tender moments and they really treat somebody with like a human, especially somebody who needs that extra like protection and guardianship, and it just meant a lot. And we've been friends ever since. So we visited I've visited him down in Orlando. He's come up here, and we see each other at Dragon Con every year. And I kind of became embroiled in the whole MBL family. So
yeah. That's incredible. Glad to have you on board. We got so Jerome's here. Well, actually, he's in the chat room right now. Jerome, we're going to leave you there for a little bit. We want to go ahead and get through our segments here. We're going to do what do we have a real name? What do we call it? The bullpen?
Bullpen. I like that.
Bullpen. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's basically a discussion about this show, in fact, and I haven't given you guys a good synopsis of what happens here. It's fandom in general from whenever to whenever. There's a lot of current things going on right now that we're going to touch on. I have a penchant for spoiler-free conversation, a real big penchant. All three of us, not together, will be at Thunderbolts tomorrow, so we can't say anything about Thunderbolts because we haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So that's one of the current things. But things that have been going on recently, especially one incredible show that I've already said is going to hit Emmy gold when Emmy time comes around. We're going to hold that off till the end. Each one of us has a segment that we're going to try and hold short, and I'm looking at my clock each time, and we're at the 10-minute mark where I wanted to start. Basically, intros for all three of us. But right now, I want you guys to get the hell off my screen because it's my turn.
All right.
So, once again, hi, I'm Mark. This is Voices from Fandom. I know this is going to grow at some point, a lot bigger than what it is today, and mainly because there are so many factions or factions in period out there that wants to argue their point. Let's put it that way. And I'm not a fan of that. We will respect everyone's opinion, but let's not go off the deep end because I am the master of the finger here. That finger. There you go. Which means I can delete.
Red rum.
I can. Yeah, I can delete you. I can block you. I can ban you. Like I say about my Facebook page, Facebook is not a democracy. It's a dictatorship. It's your page. It's your thoughts. It's your opinions, your comments, and you, as the owner of that page, can say anything you want. You, of course, cannot say anything you want on my page. That's how Facebook works. It's basically how it is. It's an opinion page. It's basically like a diary. It's a personal diary for you. Okay. And when you have uninvited guests come on your Facebook page and start spewing out things that you are against, it could be politics, religion, which I hate to get into, but unfortunately we've all been drawn into it this year alone. If I don't like it, you're gone. And I've already unfriended people because they've gotten nasty, and I don't appreciate that. Or they've attacked my friends on my own page. How dare you? You don't even know these people. So I'm Mark. So I've done a lot in my lifetime, about almost, good God in heaven, I'm old, about a little over 40 years. I've been emceeing, hosting, moderating conventions. Oh, good God in heaven, 40 years. And it's been an absolute joy in doing that. And I was actually wrangled to do that at my first convention, which was Shore Leave, I do believe, in Baltimore. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Shore Leave, for those of you guys that are watching now. And I started then, but then I moved on to other shows, and not necessarily moved on. That's not the right word. I still went back to Shore Leave, visited Shore Leave, had a good time at Shore Leave, October Trek. My God, Farpoint, all those conventions up north. And then I started traveling down south and started doing a bunch of conventions for Volcon. And then eventually I gravitated to Dragon Con, which I do think I did for about 26, 27 years. I've been doing Dragon Con. And that's where I had the opportunity of being a moderator there for a number of celebrity panels. There, as you can see, that is Lee Majors and Lindsay Wagner. That's $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. And this was, Joe, was this last year? Did Joe leave?
No, I'm here. I think it was last year. I think that was the year before.
Oh, okay. Yep. Lindsay Wagner. That was great. And then, of course, my most favorite guest of all time was, of course, Stan Lee. Joe, this is when we met, right?
Yep.
I remember, I don't know what Stan said on stage at that time, but I remember literally dropping my microphone on the ground, on the floor, and walking off the stage because of something he said in a playful way. It wasn't insulting or anything. He's just hilarious that way.
He was hilarious. Yeah.
I remember playing jokes on him because I was, his hearing wasn't that great. So I had to repeat the questions, lean over into his ear and tell him. And I got a little playful at some point where I started feeding him questions about why haven't you created any black superheroes, you know? And of course, I'm not an idiot. I'm a comic book fan, but I just played that as if that was the question coming from the audience. And he had said I think one of his responses was, well, I gave you Black Panther, you know, and things of that nature. So I've been associated. I work on the parade out on the street. It's Atlanta's biggest parade is the Dragon Con parade, which happens Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. And it's really humongous. People who aren't even at the convention come from all over the Atlanta area, park their butt at 6:30 in the morning just to be ready for a 10 o'clock parade. It's just it's just unbelievable. But just a number of people that I've worked with in the past. Of course, that's Patrick Stewart, of course, and Sean Astin, who people know from Lord of the Rings. I used to do a lot of Lord of the Rings. I used to do a lot of conventions in Germany, about 18 years worth, I think. And it was fantasy oriented. It was first Star Trek and whatever. Then it turned into, well, it didn't turn into, this was two separate conventions. I would fly over to Germany twice a year to do. They did Lord of the Rings, everything fantasy oriented. And of course, Harry Potter. We did a lot of Harry Potter conventions. And of course, a few other folks that I've had the pleasure of moderating their panels with. Anson Mount, if you're a Star Trek fan. And of course, this is probably one of my favorite. It's probably second to Stan Lee of pictures that I have hanging around my house. And if you don't know who this gentleman is, he was the first individual to step on the surface of the moon. So you're looking at Neil Armstrong, okay, which was pretty cool. And then this is a long story that I'm not going to get into, but this was either the first or second appearance in Germany of Leonard Nimoy. And real quick, Leonard, for the longest time, was opposed to going to Germany, period. If you know Leonard's religious backgrounds, then you can understand why, until a few of us finally convinced him to go to Germany because they are wonderful fans over there and they will treat you like a god. On the stage here, he asked me to come back out on stage so I can hold the mic for him, and he's demonstrating to the audience how he came up with the Vulcan salute. Okay, and he's literally raising his hands up in the air and telling everyone how this came up. And it was based on a Jewish prayer. He was 8 years old, and he peeked to look at the rabbi doing a Jewish prayer. And you're not supposed to look at the rabbi when he's doing this prayer. Your head's supposed to be down. And 8-year-old Leonard Nimoy decided he was going to take a peek to see what all the hubbub is. And the Vulcan salute, as you all know today, is basically from that. From a Jewish prayer, the salute, and what he's doing. All right, and I got 2 minutes left, guys. Hold on for a sec, okay? And then, of course, these are just a couple of fans doing the Dragon Con parade. I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan, and these two guys, a man and a woman there, on the left, the right side of me, or left, however you guys are seeing this. And it was a great parade, and I just love the fans and Planet of the Apes and that whole 9 yards. So with 2 minutes left, I guess my closing remarks on that would basically be, I'm sorry, I'm looking at, you guys, I get to put up comments such as this. Man, I think that was meant for you, Joe. I'm pretty sure that wasn't meant for me.
That was for Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, well, also could have been. It also could have been for the apes too. I don't know.
I already know how she feels about me, but
okay. Mark, Jerome hates me, so he really thinks he's coming on now just from that. Okay, so while I was talking, I couldn't necessarily say hello. Cheryl's in the chat room right now as well, and she's going to do an incredible show Friday. She always does an incredible show, but I had the privilege of seeing the clips that she's going to be showing for Friday night's show. And while the other guys go on and do their their gigs. I'll go ahead and put up the banner so you can see Geek Squad. Geek Squad is oh, wait a minute. This is what, where did he say? Oh, this is moving. Sorry. I wanted to put Mike's comment up. I think that's when we were naming what we were going to call the bullpen at the end. Oh my God. Look, my good buddy here, Paul Vincenti, I always have a problem with your name, Paul, is an incredible artist. And we've had him as a guest co-host. And any of you guys who want to be a guest co-host on Friday nights, Classic Television SmackDown and Saturday morning cartoons, you're more than welcome to. We can give you the rules to that later on. Jennifer, it was Nimoy who she loves. Okay, I've got stories for you to tell you later, Jennifer. Okay, so let me drop this off. And that was my 10 minutes, even though I'm allowing people to go a little longer if they need be. But I wanted to do the worst segment first, okay? And if we get that out of the way, it makes people hang on a lot longer because it's all gravy after this. After me, it's the cherry on top because I know what's coming. I'm excited about what's coming. And the bullpen's at the end where we're going to basically do spoiler-free reviews on things we've seen, we're going to see, everything. We're going to bring Jerome up and let him go ahead and throw in a few cents on his part. But next up right now, Joe, you're going last, buddy.
Okay.
But I'm going to go ahead and bring up my good pal. This is Mark Streed. Once again, guys, this is called Voices from Fandom. And it's all about fandom. There's so much to cover. We always try to keep our shows down to an hour, and we fail miserably each and every time for the last 6 freaking years. That's for our other shows. So we'll see how this one goes. So Mark, buddy, why don't you go ahead and take it away? It's your turn. You got to turn your mic on. You got to turn your mic on. Oh, I can't hear you at all. No. Joe, say something.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, so Mark,
I'm Mark Streed. I do board games.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move to Joe. And what you want to do, Mark, is to log out and come back. And it'll probably reset itself. But in the meantime, this is another cool segment. We're going to go ahead and jump ahead and let Joe do his segment. Joe is an incredible artist. Comic artist. I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit more about himself. But I'm more excited if you're a comic fan, if you're a comics fan, this is the guy you need to listen to because he's going to talk about something I'm excited about. So take it away, Joe.
All right. Thanks so much, Mark. And Mark, so as Mark Leese mentioned, I am a comic fan. I'm a comic artist, live, breathe, and eat, consume comics. Have been pretty much as long as I can remember. I think I was around 8 years old. My dad brought me to this place in Orlando called Enterprise 1701, huge comic store. And then we used to go to this classic comics place. I've been attending shopping at the same comic shop for ever since they opened, Kapow Comics, which is local to me. And anybody that loves these superhero movies and especially the MCU, which tends to be the cream of the crop, most of these stories have their origins in these comics. And, I know that there's some stigma around them, like maybe they're for kids. And I think that's so way off base. They're intelligently written. They create believable characters. And yeah, there's superpowers and science fiction, like aspects to them and horror aspects to them. But really, they're just stories about people, and various situations with, kind of extraordinary lives. I've really been excited about DC Comics' newest line of comics. I'm more of a Marvel fan, always have been, but I'm kind of publisher agnostic. Anything that's a great story that has fantastic art, I'm going to be dialed into. So last year, DC Comics unveiled and released the beginning of a whole new universe within their universe. It's called the Absolute DC Comics. And if you remember, probably around 25 years ago, Marvel did a similar thing called the Ultimate Comics, and it was kind of a re-envisioning of the Marvel universe at, during the modern day era, without all the old like 50, 70 years of backstory. And so DC's done the same thing now, and they've tried a similar thing before, but this is far more successful. So they started with the trilogy, the Trinity. I'm sorry, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and they're kind of re-envisioning these characters in ways that are more, I don't know, believable and kind of in ways that make more sense with today's ideas of science fiction and the different types of modernization and storytelling. So if you want to show some of the pictures, Mark, I'll kind of go over each one. So the first one I'm going to mention is Superman. So Superman, kind of a really cool take on the character. It's an origin story of Kal-El. He's from Krypton, of course, but he's got a different kind of take on things. He didn't leave Krypton as a baby. In fact, they kind of delve into the society and the caste system within Krypton, and his parents are basically like workers, and even though they're scientists and they're brilliant, because of where they were like found in their family, their family was in the hierarchy of society, they were kind of ostracized. Well, they found that, hey, the planet's not doing well. One of them is a geologist. The other one is a kind of like a rocket builder. And they realized that Krypton is on its last days and its last legs. So they initially try and take off with their whole family. And things happen, Superman makes his way to Earth, by himself, but he's not a baby. He's kind of an older child, maybe around 10, 12 years old. The other interesting thing is that Superman's powers aren't derived from the yellow sun of Earth. I mean, he does get amplification from them, but it's because he's got a different power source. Another really cool aspect is that he has this AI built into his suit that his mom built. And his cape isn't actually like a tangible thing. It's like this red mist of nanites that wrap around him and protect him, and they translate language and tell him where threats are and help him, how to assess things and save people. Very interesting, different take on Superman, on the whole mythos. I think it's really heady sci-fi stuff, and I think it's a great take on it. Batman is the next one. Batman, I think, was the one that drew me in. And this is not a Bruce Wayne that has all the resources that we're used to him having. He's basically this brilliant civil engineer. He's borderline like destitute. I mean, he has very little to his name, but he's still a brilliant engineer and scientist. And he essentially develops this when he's still in like high school, develops this high-end tensile strength, malleable kind of tool that ends up being his cape. So like the tendrils of the cape can harden and like extend and things like that. He's this big beefcake. He works out, I mean, all the time. He's got several different bat caves all over the city, and he's not getting these things because he's got money. He's like dumpster diving for parts and tools and things like that. Really cool take, and it's more him just kind of taking down the system, taking down the evil in the system. And then the third one is Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman is also another completely different take. Diana is not raised on Themyscira. She as a baby, she's taken to hell by the god Apollo, and she's raised by the witch Circe, who becomes her adoptive mother. So she actually ends up growing up with witchcraft powers, dark sorcery, and she has this huge big ass sword that she goes and takes down demons. She comes to Earth and starts taking down these demons that have started invading Earth. And she rides a Pegasus, but this thing is like, it's made of bones and they're all jet black. but it listens to her and loves her. They find a way to retain what's special about the characters while modernizing them and giving us different takes on them. And I really think it's worth a read, because if you want to see the source material of what's going to be made into movies, animated series, things of that nature, if I was a betting man, I would say that particularly these three are probably going to be somehow translated onto the screen, whether it's animated or whether it's live action. It might be 10 years from now. So far, that was the first phase. They've done Absolute Flash, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter so far. Of those three, I've only read Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter is brilliant. I highly recommend it. I do have the other two. I'm going to jump into those. We're at about issue 6 for the Trinity, and we're about issue 1 and 2 for the second phase. So that's my hot take on what's big in comics right now. And just a quick side note, Saturday is Free Comic Book Day at comic book stores across the nation. So go support your local comic store. Go in and get some free comics. Most local comic stores are participating. You go and get some free comics. They usually have great deals on things if you want to get like a trade paperback or things like that. Make your presence known. It's not an expensive hobby. It's very rewarding. It's a lot of, cool information and, something to talk about with people. And that's just my final suggestion. So thanks for having me, and hope you guys got at least a little intrigued into the world of what's hot in comics right now.
Nice.
Hey,
what's your favorite?
One thing about this show is that not everyone is going to be into another person's nerdism. You can get an education in weeks to come, or months to come, and years to come, whatever, of us doing this show. There's a lot of other people out there that, in my opinion, probably do a better job than what we can. But we're friends or friends or friends or friends or friends. And I would want to hear opinions from my friends rather than a complete stranger.
Yeah, thank you. To answer your question, Mark Streed, I thought it was going to be Batman, and I love the take on Batman. I think it's brilliantly done. Cool.
Yeah,
Superman is your favorite.
No, I thought it was going to be Batman, and I still love Batman, but Superman just slightly edges it out.
Wow.
Because it's such a cool take on Superman. I mean, he's so cool, dude. He really is.
Yeah. I mean, Superman.
Let me ask you,
favorites forever, So
yeah, what's the cost on these books, Joe?
I think they're about $5 a piece. So
yeah, I figured they're about $5. Yeah.
Man, growing up, I had a comic book, the turnstile that you would have like at grocery stores. They were getting rid of one, so I had it in my bedroom. It had comics all in it.
Nice.
So and you guys, like I mentioned early on, if you have any comments, any topics that you want us to touch on, we'd be glad to discuss it if we know anything about it. But sticking to Joe's show here, since we're doing pretty damn good on time, sticking to what Joe brought up, since I'm the old fart in the group here, I am a 60s, 70s kind of guy, early 80s, and that's about as far as I'll go before, I'm done my geekism. I think the cheapest comic book I've ever bought at a basement comic book store that was owned by the guy ended up being one of my best friends. I was 12 years old, and I think I paid 15 cents. And that gentleman went on to, not only was he a co-owner, he became a co-owner of the Baltimore Orioles, but he also ran Diamond Comics.
Oh,
wow. That was Steve Jeppy.
Wow.
I know Steve since I was 12. He always used to call me Mike Grell coming into his comic book store because I was a huge Mike Grell fan.
I love Grell. I love Grell. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the average comic when I was like at my biggest collecting phase, like in the early 90s, most comics were about $1.25.
Yep.
You know, like I remember them being cheaper when I was a kid, but I mean, hell, I wasn't paying for them. My parents were, you know, but when I was buying them with my own money, when I first for the longest time, $1.25, you know, issue of X-Men, you know, Spawn was, I think, $2. I remember that being one of the first $2 comics. I was like, what?
Yeah, see, those are stratosphere numbers for me. Starting off at 15 cents, and watching every few years, if not every year, going up a nickel, going up a nickel, going up $1. What the hell?
Yeah, definitely $1. I remember
we walk out of the store with a minimum of 15 comics under our armpit because we could afford it. It was our allowance money.
And when I was a kid, you could get comic books at just a regular grocery store. There was like a rack of them. That's just not a thing anymore.
Yeah. No, but I love those days. We're going to get Jerome's opinion. I had another one. Oh, comic book day is when?
Saturday. This Saturday.
What's that date?
May 3rd.
So Sunday should be a day of worship because I am part of the 1977 crew.
Usually, very often they coincide. Quite often, because I do Free Comic Book Day every year at my local shop. I go and do sketches for the kids. So I do convention style comic sketches for kids for a few hours. Cool. So anybody that's from Georgia that's listening, you probably already know because you've seen it on my Facebook page or you've probably seen it over the years. But and many shops do that. So Paul Jenkins, the writer, he's going to be at mine. John Johnson, who's a trading card artist, he always comes to, and so I'm one of their featured artists too. But oftentimes, many times when I've been doing this over the years, at least 3 or 4, for some reason, Comic Book Day and Free Comic Book Day and May the 4th always kind of coincide. So.
Yeah, it is definitely a holy day on, and it's really interesting because Steve Jeffy's comic shop was within walking distance of the movie theater that I first saw Star Wars at.
Nice.
Everything was in my neighborhood in Baltimore. I love it to death.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so this is great timing because we got volume from Mark here, and we're gonna go ahead. Mark has already done his intro. How you want me to do? Just tell me when you want me to play it, Mark.
Yeah, I'll tell you when to play it. I got just a little bit.
Tell me when to play it. Mark, take it away. This is your segment.
All right. So, as I told you, I do content for the Dice Tower, and I just want to say first and foremost that I've been doing it for like 10 years now, and it is probably the best job I've ever had. I'm always wondering, like, oh man, when are they going to find out that I get to do this as a job? It's just one of those moments where you're like, wow. And even on stressful days, it's like, I get to play and talk about games. It's not that stressful. So I thought for my segment, I would try to bring a sample of what I'm currently working on. So let's play the clip. So, have you ever dreamed of being a goat? Not just any goat, but a full-blown, head-butting, taco shoe-wearing, traffic cone-licking chaos machine. Welcome to Goat Simulator, the card game, where your only mission is to cause as much mayhem as goatlishly possible, and you look fabulous doing it. At the start of the game, everyone draws a hand of 5 action cards. These are your tools of glorious disruption. You'll draw cards, discard cards, gear up your goats with the weirdest equipment imaginable, and unleash total mayhem whenever you get the chance. So, on your turn, you'll take 2 actions. You might play a Get My Goat card to bring a naked goat into play, and if you nail a perfect plushie toss, you even score an extra bonus action. Yes, you actually toss a tiny goat plushie, and yes, it is amazing. You might strap your goat into a bee costume, fire up a leaf blower, or stomp around in taco shoes. Every piece of gear gives your goat new abilities. You might drop a karma card and flip the whole table, forcing hand swaps, stealing gear, or causing total goat carnage. Or you might draw more cards to stack up for an even crazier play later. So that gives you a sample of what I'm doing. And the thing with this game is that the reason I wanted to use it so badly because for this show is that so often now we're having video game crossing over to board game because board games have become so popular that like Deep Rock Galactic, which you probably know, Joe.
Yes, yeah.
It's a huge video game, and it is an amazing board game with detailed miniatures and I love the thing I love about board games in general is just the tactile experience, right? Just that whole, and then getting around the table with friends. And the thing about this one in particular was that it's always amazing to me when they can capture the same feel. And Goat Simulator, the video game, was huge, right? People just gushed over it. And the fact that you can, yeah, it was so fun. And the fact that you can just capture that amount of chaos in a board game or a card game is just always amazing to me. So if you know anything about board games, this one has a bunch of take that. So you're going to be messing with your fellow players the entire game. So you might have the perfect hand of cards, but no, I throw down an action card that forces you to give me your cards and we swap. So you always are playing from the hip in this game. And yes, you're flipping that plushie, which ended up being a ton of fun. And I had like, I don't know about this one, but we played it back to back so many times over the weekend. And it was just so fun. Now, the other interesting thing about this is that I script all the thematic bits of this game. And then at the end of the video, I just talk freeform about my experience in playing and so forth. But the thing about it is it ends up being this. So this is like a 5-minute video if you go watch the full thing, which is up right now on the Dice Tower. And even the Kickstarter campaign funded like in the first hour. So it's doing very, very well. The thing about it, though, is that it's like 5 minutes, but I literally spend like 3 days on a 5-minute video. So there's all kinds of prep and play and just nailing the script and getting it just the right tone. And I'm finding more and more that I really enjoy that. So I use a tool called Grammarly to help me write the scripts. And then I send them off to the publishers to review, and we go back and forth. So it's definitely a new way. I've only been doing this for about a year this way. I used to just talk freeform the whole thing, and they started to get a long in the tooth, and I would ramble, get excited, and go off on tangents. So the scripts have really helped me stay on target, so to say, to throw out a Star Wars term. So it is definitely something I get the more I talk about a game that I'm doing or playing, or even games that are not really like popular, so to say, or, it's got some questionable mechanics or questionable artwork. But the more I talk about it, the more excited I get in videos and so forth. So I really enjoy that aspect. And just the fact that I get to present this stuff. And people always talk about like, oh, you're Cult of the New in the board game world. And I'm like, well, I am Cult of the Future, because stuff you're playing today at a convention, I'm like, yeah, I played that like a year ago. So I'm always way ahead of what the curve is. And that's something I really like. And then I also get the opportunity to show off games on the Dice Tower that might not see the live day in the way of reviews because they're small, like a mom and pop shop. And I love the aspect that I get to help those people out. And it's just, I can't even tell you, just the best job I've ever had. And it is so much fun. And because of the Dice Tower, I've gotten to do so many more things. Like I mentioned, I was now a guest at Starfest here in Denver when it was still active. And so many neat things came out of that. Being a guest is a whole different experience at a convention. So Peter Macon from the Orville became a really good friend of mine because of my affiliation with that convention, and now being a guest and hanging out with him through the course of that convention, we became friends. So it is just a really, I have this interesting right place, right time thing that happens a lot for me. And in general, I know this game might seem like, what is this? But no, it truly is. It's mass chaos, just a ton of fun. And they really captured the spirit of what they're doing in the video game. In this,
it looks like a blast, and it's funny you say that about the like future games and everything. A couple who were really close friends of mine are huge board game nerds.
Oh, and cool.
They probably have, I want to say, somewhere between 150, 200 board games. Matt, but I'm sure Matt does Dice Tower, but he always he'll bring out the old games too, but he's always talking to me about the newest thing, like he did one about it was like bags of chips, almost like
okay. So there's all kinds of games that are bag builders, and
so,
where you're building an engine or something out of a bag. You know, you're building up your resources and ready to do some big event in the game because you've built up your pile so efficiently.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
A couple of things to say here.
Sure.
I'm going to start off with this first. It's not even a question. It's a comment.
Okay.
But you did not goat there.
I did.
What a bad joke.
Yeah. Well said.
Stop nagging me.
Now, and the thing about this game too is that it wouldn't be like a normal game that I would pick. Like, I'm usually the big thematic story-driven games.
Yeah.
Those are my go-tos for sure. With amazing artwork, amazing pieces. But we just had so much fun with this game, and it took me by surprise because I was like, oh, I don't know. Not all video game to board game things work well, but they did such a good job with this one.
Yeah, rule of fun always work, like trumps everything else in games, man.
Oh, don't say that word, but okay.
Yeah, well, that's a big word in like trick-taking games and so forth. So,
yeah. Hey, so we all reached our times here. We're not done. It's just that the times that we all agreed on, so we have room at the end to start talking about current event stuff in sci-fi, fantasy, horror, convention world as well. Has come. I also need to go ahead and advertise our shows. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and bring up one of our co-hosts that we have for Classic Television SmackDown and Saturday Morning Cartoons, which we will be having this upcoming week over the next couple of days with Classic and Saturday. And none of the three hosts are hosting. None of the three hosts this week are hosting. So which is a cool thing. So we all have guest hosts. So if you guys want to see what it's like to just be a guest host, someone who isn't on with us weekly, well, maybe I ought to look in the damn camera, who isn't with us weekly and see how they do, you yourself can do what these people can do. They've just become so good at it that this is not the first time that they're co-hosting on these shows. These are return engagements from people who've had such a great time co-hosting our shows. They want to do it again. We've been doing it for 6 years. So to have more people give us a freaking break off, I mean, please run at it. Here is Jerome Connor, host of Classic and Saturday. How you doing, Jerome?
I'm doing great. I've been watching the show. There's some comments I got to make to Joe. There's some comments I got to make to Mark, and there's some comments I got to make to Mark.
He's going to leave his mark. Get it?
Exactly.
So, Mark, I'm glad to see you're doing well. You and I have been talking back and forth about, with what's going on.
Who the hell are you talking to?
Mr. Streed.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's been stressful with all the goings on and just the state of the board game industry in general. But that's true for the toy industry. A lot of different things.
So Mark, be aware you're going to keep hearing from me. So don't worry about it.
I appreciate it. Checking in, I really, really appreciate it.
Okay. Concerning the goats,
yes.
Now I got to go buy the game. Damn you.
Oh my God.
I will say though, it the way you described it reminds me a lot of the classic game Wiz War.
Yes, I love Wiz War.
Yeah, yeah. So, and some point, Mark, you and I have to sit down and talk about games because I got a ton of stuff, including early Steve Jackson games.
Oh yeah, my very first game that I ever bought was Awful Green Things from Outer Space.
Mine was Car Wars. Raid on it,
loved Car Wars
on Tehran and Ogre.
Oh, Ogre was awesome.
Yeah, so so we got to talk games sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Joe.
Yes.
The Ultimates. I was there from the beginning.
Yeah, me too.
They were great. I think the first two 13 ones of Ultimates 1 and 2 were great. I especially thought it was hysterical when to get the Hulk's attention. The Wasp flashes him.
Yep.
It was very dark. You're right. Very edgy attempts. At first, I wasn't sure where they were going, and then they kind of petered out.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I mean, look, I liked the Ultimates. I think the Ultimates which is the Avengers one, was probably the best one of them.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was pretty good at first too, but I did feel like it petered out. But I always kind of felt like they were trying to go edgy, and that's what's different about the Absolute. Like, there's not any edginess to this. I mean, well, maybe a slight amount, but I feel like they're just trying to say, hey, these are still the same characters. But we're changing a little bit about their origins and maybe a little bit about, like, you know, their settings and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool take.
Now I got to go buy the books. Stop it. Okay, just stop the two of you. You're making me go spend money. Okay, you know.
Man, well, I read all my comics on my iPad now, so I'm gonna go get the
there you go. And on that point, real quick, I thought of something. The first story, like, collected version for each one for the Trinity, for Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, should be available now, because they all finished their first arc, the first 5-6 issues.
Nice. Okay.
So you should be able to get them all collected. Usually the collected one's cheaper if you don't know. So they're usually
I try to always get that collected one or the graphic novel version, whatever.
Yep. And as to Mr. Lee's comments about the price of comics, comics were, and they still are, because for those who know, I'm also a huge comic book collector, including, I'm going to brag a little bit here, I've got a 1943 Captain America.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's timely.
Is it graded?
No, it has not been graded. I had someone check it, and depending upon what the market is, it's anywhere between $5,000 to $25,000, depending upon the market.
So that's the Timely Comics banner, right? That's
I believe so. Yeah,
that's pre-Marvel. Yeah.
Hello. Fourth time asking. What's on the cover?
Hang on a second here. I have a picture of it because if it's 43,
he's not hitting Hitler, right?
Oh yes.
Okay, I know that cover then, and it's not the orange shield, of course.
No, it's the triangular one.
It's, the trifoil or whatever you want to call it.
See if you can see it.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
And that's Timely Comics. So for those who don't know, Captain America predates Marvel. He was a Timely Comics character. And then when Marvel Comics started, they bought all the Timely characters and brought him in.
It's It's number 30, by the way.
Cool. Okay, guys, look, we're doing good.
This is my personal favorite.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
I'm a Hawkeye fan.
All right, nice. Hey Jerome, hold your thoughts. We got to move along here. So now we got to get into the bullpen. We're doing good on time. We're going to go over, but we're used to going over. But I don't want to go over on a school night or a work night, anything like that. So let's go ahead and start talking about at least 2 shows that we're watching now. Yeah, I think 3 of us are. I don't know if Jerome is. Let's start off with the Sunday night show.
Yes,
Joe.
That's what I was going to
say. For those of you, once again, this is Voices from Fandom. We get into all sorts of fandom. I'm not into all sorts of fandom. I'm not a horror fan, but I will watch these shows after having watched Walking Dead and being a fan of Walking Dead.
Yeah.
This show that I want to get comments from each of you, brief, is a show called The Last of Us. And I was gobsmacked over not last Sunday, but the Sunday before. And I want Joe to go ahead and start off with a really brief comment on The Last of Us. Then we're going to move on to the next show as we go around the pen here. Go ahead, guys.
So I do think, it's funny you mentioned Walking Dead, because I do think there's a lot of Walking Dead DNA in this show. I think they kind of they elevate it. I did play the game. I tried it originally on the PS3. I have my feelings about PS3 games and that platform. So I played it when it got remade, not remastered, but remade by the same developers, Naughty Dog. I love the game. It's very hard. And it captures so much of the game, but what they've done that's brilliant is they have made changes. There are changes, and some of them are significant, but they retain the core characters, who they are. Pedro Pascal is phenomenal. He's Emmy award winning. Bella, I forgot her last name. She is incredible. The production values. I mean, it's like you're watching a movie every single week. It's so emotional. This is Fungus. making people into zombies is the most believable thing I've ever seen for zombies. So I love it. I can't say good enough of it. I was shattered after that episode you talk about. Episode 2.
Yeah.
Shattered.
Yeah.
Shattered.
Yeah. How about you, Mark?
Oh man, the show is. I mean, I love the game. So they captured the same feel. But they did change things, which some of the things I liked. If we talk about season 1, just real briefly, the one thing that I did really like about the Infected is that they could, within the roots, know what's going on somewhere else in the city. And I think that is so cool. I'm like, that should be in the game, you know, so that was awesome.
Brilliant.
So I like a lot of those changes. And that one recent episode that was so over the top for folks, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm not going to spoil, but they added extra stuff there too that was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, you know. So nothing they've added has made me feel like it detracted from the game except one thing. The whole episode with Bill, I was disappointed because he had so much great dialogue with her in the game that we missed out on all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so bummed.
Yeah. It was a great episode, but you're right.
Yeah. They had that great tension too, the two of them.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a little, that's the only thing I've been disappointed about. So
okay, Jerome, are you watching that?
I am not. I'm afraid not. We don't watch a lot of zombies in this household for a variety of reasons, having to do with the fact that I have a 12-year-old in the house.
All right, so let me stick with the horror concept right now. Friday, Classic Television SmackDown, our recurring, I shouldn't even say returning because she'll return again. So it's recurring guest, which is going to be Cheryl. Her show is this Friday. And the date of Thursday or Friday, Cheryl will correct me, is officially called Halfway to Halloween. If you go to our link, you'll see a description of what that means. And Cheryl, within the last 5 minutes, just sent me what she was doing this past weekend. And
nice.
She obviously was I was able to get this up really quick, Cheryl. So she's going to be our host, our co-host for that show. That's Cheryl right there. That's
you can tell Cheryl hasn't had her morning coffee.
Yeah.
That's it. That's when she wakes up in the morning, or her and her husband were having a really great time. But Cheryl will be with us on Friday, hosting her own show, Halfway to Halloween. For some reason, this should say Halfway to Hell.
you know, Cheryl's shows are always fun.
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
They're good.
Yeah,
you know?
and you have to be there to believe it that it's unbelievable. But she does a great job. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, so Cheryl, man, we can't wait, sweetheart. Can't wait. Cheryl's part of the Baltimore crew. She's from my area and up in Maryland, and I can't wait to see her show. That's Friday night at 8 p.m., folks. Friday night at 8 p.m., and it's always BYOB because no one's really wants to be sober doing any of our Friday night shows anyway. So we all have drinks. We all have drinks. We're not alcoholics or boozers. We just know how to celebrate a long, hard week. Okay. So the next show that we're going to get on real good, and we're still looking good on time. I'm not really that worried about it. Is something that I've already posted on my Facebook page by saying this is Emmy material, and to talk about a television show. It used to be back in the day when you can tell when the TV series was filmed in a warehouse, or you can see even the neighborhoods were fake, which means they were probably using Universal Studio, Hollywood lot stuff and all that kind of stuff. To actually see a show that all you can see is ka-ching, 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 ka-ching.
Yeah.
I can't wait until I see the numbers on this, but I'm telling you now, screw the plot line, screw the dialogue, look at the architecture and look at the fashion. And the show that I'm referring to is the second season of Andor, which is
that world building.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Which, hold on, Jerome, I know you're here now. So absolutely, absolutely brilliant. And it is Andor is a spinoff from Rogue One, which is actually my second favorite in the Star Wars series of movies, of motion pictures. And they broke off and did a TV series called Andor based on the character of that same name. That's his last name. Cassian is his first name. I am on episode 4. I know they dropped 4, 5, and 6 yesterday, but I ain't staying up till midnight watching 3 hours worth of Andor because I had to be at work.
It's tempting though.
Well, I'm gonna finish off one after this show.
Yep,
I'm gonna finish off one after this show because all of us are at Thunderbolts tomorrow. So let's go ahead and dig into Andor real quick. I'll start off with mine real quick because I am quick. I've already mentioned fashion. I've already mentioned architecture. The writing alone, just the number of characters. The script writers must have went absolutely crazy just trying to write for every freaking single scene. And there are a lot of freaking single scenes. Fantastic, gorgeous production. Whatever Emmy it makes, if it does not get for best drama, best TV drama, best actor, best TV drama, whatever, it's got to get it for fashion and for set design. That's my take on it. It is a fantastic story. If you haven't started Andor, start with season 1. If you haven't started season 1, you might want to go look at Rogue One if you haven't seen that yet, so you know what you're looking at. Mark, I'll go for you first. What do you think?
Same. I'm just blown away by the world building. You can tell that they're just gearing up for something, and I love that. I love that silent tension. It's so well done in the second season. And again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but just that opening sequence in the first episode of this season was awesome. I was just like, oh my gosh. So I have absolutely enjoyed it. Now, one of the things I've noticed is I have some friends that also love it to this level that we are, but I have a couple other friends who thinks it's the boringest thing they've ever seen, which is what? I can't wrap my head around that. I'm like, what are you talking about? So far, I've only seen it's you love it or you hate it at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
wow, that's mind blowing.
And Jerome, we'll go next.
I haven't watched it yet because I'm waiting for all of it to drop so I can just do a big binge. You know,
well, you're in a good place because we do spoiler free, so we're not spoiling anything other than.
No, I'm not worried about spoilers because I pretty much know where everything's gonna eventually go. You know, this farm boy is gonna show up and cause all sorts of problems later.
I worry about spoilers. It's not allowed on any of our shows. No spoilers are allowed. Period.
Right.
I hate that.
Just watch out for that farm boy that does Space Suite.
Yeah. Right. Go ahead, Joe.
So let me address that, Jerome. I think that's a big mistake. I do not think that this show is the way that it's crafted is meant for the binging, which is why they release 3 episodes at a time. They release them in chapters, right? And I implore you to watch it in that format because I think it works best that way. Like watch the 3 as close together as you can because there are time lapses and they're relevant.
And it's
but if they're releasing 3 at a time, they want you to binge those 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Those 3, but then then a week transpires, and then you watch 3 more, and they're long. So the other thing is, I had problems with Rogue One when it came out, and I'll tell you why. I thought Rogue One was beautifully shot, beautifully acted, amazing sets, everything like that. But I was like, okay. Damn you, Tony Gilroy, for making me fall in love with these characters for a couple hours, and then I wanted more of them. And now they're gone. Right,
they're gone. Yes, agreed. Agreed.
And then I've read a book series that is nothing to do with Star Wars at all, but like it kind of gets into that same mindset of it's not about where you're going, it's about how you get there. It's called the Stormlight Archives. And one of the mantras of it is journey before destination, right? This show is about the journey. It's not, we all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a prequel, you know? It's about how we're getting there. It is the highest caliber of performances, of sets, of set design, of special effects, of makeup, of visual effects, of costumes, of costume design. The writing is like immaculate and superb. Even if I disagree with certain things, they still do it well. I think that we're sitting on right now the 2 prestige format, like highest caliber genre geek centric television series we've ever had and maybe ever will. So I'm relishing and enjoying every part of it. You know,
I think you need to go and read Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces.
I have.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I read it when I was getting into comic creation 20 years ago. So.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So we all know that this is a prequel, and I agree with you, Joe. It's the journey. We know what the final outcome is. I mean, way forward in the future do we know what the final outcomes are, right?
Yeah.
But not since Mandalorian, I think, in reference to Rogue One. Not since Mandalorian and the appearance of Luke Skywalker have I cried watching television.
Yeah.
I mean, Rogue One, I cried at the theater is what I'm trying to say. And then, of course, Luke Skywalker showing up. But the architect part of me was really pissed off at Andor because I wanted to know every single location that they were shooting in because I know it wasn't CGI. None of it was CGI except the Senator's Dome in Coruscant.
Yeah.
You knew that was CGI put in or whatever. It's still gorgeous architecture nonetheless, even though it was CGI. But I'm looking around when people are just walking across the courtyards and whatever. Screw that. I'm looking at the buildings going, where the hell is that?
That's such a good point because it's such this texture, tactile experience from each world. It's really cool.
And that's the coolest thing is that the architecture is beautiful on every world, but it's very specific and really well done for each world. And it feels lived in. It feels Coruscant feels like the high-tech skyscraper building, planet you'd expect it to be. And then you go down to like Gorman and everything's elegant and beautiful. And you're just like, wow, okay.
Actually, it was on Mothra's world where, my God, man, nobody owns a pair of jeans on that damn planet.
That party was, that was the most ostentatious party and wedding I've ever seen on film on anything. Anything.
Okay, so you do understand it was an alcoholic who made us storm the Death Star, right? After just seeing Andor. You do understand that was a freaking depressed chick who just sent everybody to their doom because she drank a little too much.
With as much crap as she's put up with trying to build everything she's trying to build, I think she you know what? If she wants to open herself a couple of hands.
And that whole dancing bit, someone turned it into an hour-long version of it on YouTube.
Wow.
Oh no.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh my God. That's wow. I tell my Alexa to put me to sleep at night by just playing a channel called Sleep.
Yeah, right.
I don't need the visuals too. I mean, good God.
Yeah.
Okay, so we touched on Andor. We touched on The Last of Us. We're seeing Thunderbolts tomorrow.
Go see Thunderbolts. Go see Thunderbolts. Go see Thunderbolts, people.
Let's talk briefly. Let's talk briefly about Thunderbolts because like you, Mark, when it first was announced in the very first teasers, I'm like, this looks horrible, absolutely horrible. And I thought for sure it was just going to be a Suicide Squad ripoff, is what it looked like. But then as time went on and they started dropping more and more stuff, and I started getting buzz from Hollywood friends and different things, I'm like, oh, this is sounding better. And then that final trailer, I'm like, oh, I'm all in.
I was telling Mark this yesterday. Well, we talked a couple times this week, and my spidey sense has been on the pulse for this one from the beginning. And part of the reason is, because these characters, dude, like they are misfits. They are kind of a ragtag group.
It was all Joe's. I'm talking to him in my car on the way home from work.
I love it.
Saying, look, man, I got to admit, I had no desire. Had no desire. Next thing you know, I walk into my front door yesterday, okay, and I'm cursing him out as I'm booking my ticket on my freaking cell phone.
So good.
I called him to tell him he sucks. He was at dinner. I didn't care. I got the top row in the back, all the way against the end, the last seat in the IMAX theater for tomorrow's showing. And I
told
blamed it
Jennifer
all
that
on
too.
Joe because I had no desire of seeing this movie whatsoever, but something was just twisting my head off and get that ticket.
So I'm unapologetically and unabashedly a Marvel zombie and a huge MCU fan. And there's not I know I'm a different breed. I also can tell like a quality difference of like what's great and what's not, right? And I don't think that every single MCU is fantastic. I think the ones that are fantastic are some of the best, you know, like superhero cinema or like kind of sci-fi superhero-y cinema you can find. But I think this one just feels a little different. They are misfits, and it does take some liberties from the source material, you know. But that's okay because the original concept for the Thunderbolts was kind of in the Suicide Squad vein. They were villains posing as heroes, but with you know, like greed as their kind of you know, like that was. And then the second version of them was actually called the Dark Avengers, which was the same, you know, kind of concept. But that was
with Dead Man.
Yeah, it was Norman Osborn pretending to be Iron Patriot. So but I think, man, these characters, if you look at that lineup, I mean, there might be one kind of weak one, but the rest of them are a lot of fun. Like Yelena, Yelena Romanoff. I like her better than Black Widow. You know?
Me too.
And Red Guardian.
She was the best part. She was the best part of the Black Widow movie. She was.
I loved it when every time she was commenting on Black Widow's poses as she do a somersault, a flip, jumping off a building, and she nonchalantly went poser, you know, things like that. You know,
and one of my favorite parts is she's like, right? So many pockets. She's so excited about her vest. I love that part of the movie.
So many pockets. And she's great in Hawkeye too.
Yeah, she's great in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a spoiler because it's out all over the web right now. It's all over the TV right now. I just saw it on Good Morning America this morning, as well as Jimmy Kimmel last night. And I don't know the context of the scene, but I do know that when she was reading the script, Florence Pugh saw that she was supposed to jump off a building. And, you know, when production came about, and I've talked to Mark about this, and I was talking to Jennifer about it too. They told her, well, you can't do that. Insurance is not going to cover it. And she went to Kevin Feige, you know, the head of Marvel, and said, look, we've got to do this. You've got to throw me off a building, dude, you know? And she finally convinced him. And I was wrong, Mark. It's the second tallest building in the world. So
is it? Okay.
You can see behind
same location,
footage.
though.
Yeah.
Same location,
tallest
right?
building in the world. Yeah. And she jumps off. Now, she does have harnesses and stuff like that, but she's not a stunt person.
Yeah.
She jumps off. And she said this morning on GMA, I think she said she jumped off 12 times, eight or 12 times.
I hadn't heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's more takes than Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it looks
have you seen any of the tidbit social media stuff around Thunderbolts? Like there's a whole bit with
I don't do that.
No, it's not in the movie. It's not in the movie at all.
Yeah.
It's just like extra content.
Yeah.
So there's like a whole just bit that Red Guardian does about Red Guardian limo service.
Yeah. It's not going to be
hilarious.
Yeah. It's not going to be in the movie. It's just
So, look, this is what we're going to do if you guys are inclined to doing it. After Cheryl's show, depending on how much alcohol you had in you, after Cheryl's show on Friday, if you want to do a non-spoiler, at least for Jerome's sake, a non-spoiler review of Thunderbolt, I'm inviting you guys if you want to hit that. It'll be the end of the show after Cheryl's over with her bit, whatever, and if you guys want to come on and tout about it, we'll do that. But look,
I'm Thunderbolts from the comic books, Joe, from when Hawkeye showed up to basically clean up their act.
Okay, and all of you guys have one up on me because I never even heard of them.
Oh, okay.
As a comic fan, I never heard of them, and I think more people know Suicide Squad than they know Thunderbolts.
True,
and that's a different, magazine.
Yeah, but Suicide Squad's been around since the 80s.
Yeah. I know they've been around for a long time. I remember the various members that were in Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller must be 150 years old.
I'll say this right now about Suicide Squad, the movies, they never get Waller correct. They never get her right.
She's either been morbidly fat or in the movie Suicide Squad. That was what's her name? You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, weird. So look, guys, for everyone that's listening and watching, and vice versa, this turned out better than I thought. To be honest with you, we're gonna try and keep it up. We're not gonna do another show for another month. We're gonna get all our act together and kind of troubleshoot what it is we can improve on if we need to improve on anything. But this is a show for the fans. Basically, it's fan-oriented show. Unlike Classic and unlike Saturday Mornings, where we focus on whatever, one cartoon or one genre of cartoons, one live action show, one genre live action show. This is current events kind of things. You can go back as far as you want. You know, I don't mind talking about the first Captain Marvel serial that I remember. Yeah, not live. Okay, I wasn't alive then, but I remember that. And going forward with the future stuff, Avengers Doomsday, which will be coming out at some point, you know, that's going to be another issue down the road to talk about.
They just started filming this week. Started filming this week.
Yep.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I got one for you. They just finished filming the live action Voltron.
They did.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Yeah. I saw.
I'm all in.
What's his name? Help. Superman.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Henry Cavill.
That was the same day. April 28th was the end of filming for Voltron and the beginning of filming for Doomsday. So
wow. I didn't even know a Voltron movie was coming out and that Henry Cavill actually signed on for it.
Yeah.
So I have a question for the panel because there's a rumor I want your opinion on.
Okay.
Henry Cavill as Mr. Bond.
I would totally be up for that. Absolutely.
Well, he was Man from U.N.C.L.E., so there's no reason why he couldn't be a Bond.
Right. He would be a great Bond.
Yeah. I'm all for it. Yeah, absolutely.
I am too. I'm all for him as taking over the helm. Of course, there'll be typecast from that point on.
That makes me think of the upcoming Ballerina movie with John Wick. Have you watched that trailer?
No.
My gosh, you have to go watch that trailer.
Okay.
Really?
Oh,
okay.
I was like, I like the John Wick world. I enjoy those films. They're over the top and such. So when I watched that trailer,
shame on you, Mark. I'm sorry. We're gonna leave, but this is how our shows run. We think of things that we meant to say during the show, but as long as the show's still going on. So you guys don't know this, and God, Mark, partly my fault, mostly yours. Mark put together a coloring book. About his dog, Alita.
So let me tell you why this happened. So
you're kind of late, but go ahead.
Right. So I should have brought that up. Yeah. So she has been my buddy in videos. So I do a walk and talk segment, which I'll probably show here at some point. It is literally me recapping the videos that I did in the last week or two. And she walks with me and she's part of those videos. And I just did it one time as I'll just bring her. And now I can't do it without her because everybody would be like, where's Alita? You know, and at the end of those videos, she and I are sitting there saying, all right, folks, if any of these games look like they might be of interest to you, please send me an email. And until next time, we'll see you at the table. So, but behind us, there's always a creature or something happening that we apparently don't know about. So I did that on a whim too. So now I have to combine her and I, and she has been so spot on. Not that she knows, but probably a handful of times now, she's looked just at the right moment back, like she saw the creature back there. So it was people in the Dice Tower, and now Alita's got this worldwide. I'll go to conventions and they're saying, where's Alita? And she's become this icon part of, association with me. So I, just looking at, digital products, I always thought I'd like to try that. And I had an artist friend that helped me do some cartoony stuff of her. And then I thought maybe it would be cool to do a coloring book with her. And so that evolved. And I went through this huge process of using like Photoshop and Photoshop filters. I did use some AI to clean things up and upscale the images, but it was really, really cool. And I also used like I would take photos of things and I say, I really need to create this as a comic book. And I would submit the photo to AI or Photoshop and say, I need to create the scene from this. And it would get me in the ballpark, you know, things like that. So it really became this tool that I've been really valuable in using for this. And now, so I finished the first one. I'm halfway through making the second one now. And I hope to turn it into a series, and I hope people like it. And I wrote all the stories, but I had like tools like Grammarly help me make sure that I had my grammar proper, because I'm not really a writer.
Yeah,
so
hey, Jerome, did you see Mark's video during his segment?
Yes.
Okay.
Why do you think I'm mad at him about the damn goats?
Okay, hold on. So he gets into this Batman kind of voice, this persona.
That's my movie trailer voice.
I'm play goats in the world.
I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It's like, and when I have meetings with folks, I always say, oh yeah, now I do thematic versions of these videos, and I'm always like, you know, so it's like in a world where dice are king. You know, things like that. I love it so much.
By this game,
hold on.
So
the mundane here, not the mundane. What did Harry Potter call those people?
Muggles.
Muggles. Yes.
Muggles. So the Muggle here in the room is in no way interested in board games. Okay, and this is what I was going to mention to you. I said when your segment was over, I didn't get around to it. Well, now I am. If it ain't brain fart. Sorry, Monopoly.
Yes.
Clue.
Yeah.
What's the operation? What was I going to say?
Operation.
Hey, Mark, is she named after Battle Angel?
She is, absolutely.
Yes.
And so,
one of my favorite movies.
For my book, I put at a disclaimer: is no way related to any. You know, she is I just said something to the effect of she is my dog, and these are personal experiences with her and such. So I was really nervous about that, but you know, everything I looked up, using a name in that way is not going to be an issue.
Oh no! Hey, look. So I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, but that's why I love that movie. I love the the manga for it and all that.
That was one of the very first.
You need some distance from your dog. Okay.
I always tell people.
Okay. God forbid, but I'm a realist. The three of us, plus Rose, we're going to have a hell of a time consoling you. So you need to back off just a little bit.
So she will be 5 this year.
Don't listen to Mark. All right. So I was going to say, I always tell like the younger kids like that. I was part of the generation that helped to bring anime, you know, like modern anime, because me and my friends, when I was a teenager, we used to order the VHS of anime movies. They were about $80 to $100. We would pour money. We would all throw in $20 a piece. And Battle Angel, the original Battle Angel movie, was one of my favorites. It was that and Akira and Vampire Hunter D and like Ninja Scroll. But I love Battle Angel.
We can geek out. We were supposed to have been off 20 minutes ago, but let me tell you something, young man. Young people that are sitting here right now. I used to belong to a Japanese animation club. And those VHS tapes you were talking about, we'd all gather in a house. But I'm from Bubblegum Crisis. I'm from look, and even on television, Kimba the White Lion, Speed Racer, Johnny Sacco and his flying robot.
Yes.
The TV stuff doesn't count because you didn't pay for that, though. Like I'm talking about, like, you know, paying for it,
Star Blazers,
from Japan. So ordering it from Japan and waiting 6 to 8 weeks for the tape.
Yeah, but But Bubblegum Crisis, the only way you could see it was on the VHS, along with AD Police.
That's the only, and all of them, English subtitles. Subtitles, okay? I mean, that's real
Macros,
anime, buddy.
Macros was 3 separate shows combined, and the script was rewritten.
It was totally cut together.
That's classic. At least I didn't pay $5 for a comic book. But anyway,
so real quick though, my first issue of this coloring book series came out today. So
Nice.
it's on Amazon, and you can find it. It's just Alita, Adventures with Alita. So
Get out of here.
yeah. So
Well,
it's up.
we're gonna have to.
Wait a minute.
Well,
wait a
we'll
minute.
show some
Any
pictures.
tariffs on there, Mark?
Any what?
Any tariffs?
No, it's all through Amazon KDP. So it's all print on demand stuff.
I mean,
It's made in America for America. There's no tariff.
Mark, I'm gonna tell you, I will be excited about the price, but once I go to my cart and all those numbers are broken down, forget it.
Yeah, I get it. No, but yeah. So I think we have it listed at $8.99, which is almost a 40-page book because there's 2 stories in there.
That's worth it. 40 pages.
Yeah.
Nice.
The crayons come with it.
Nope, you got to get your own crayons
Crap.
or
But yeah,
markers if you prefer markers, or pencils.
That'll be-
pencils.
That'll be the expensive part, but because
Yes.
I bet those bastards were made in China.
Yeah, right. For all the crayons and everything.
I
Oh,
agree.
crayons,
I agree,
man.
Jackie. Jackie's
Yeah.
got a comment. They do need to do a live action Vampire Hunter D movie.
Oh my gosh,
that would be
that would
amazing.
be amazing.
That would
Yes.
be.
So I'll be
Wow.
in line for Sailor. I'll be in line for this one. I'll be in
Yep.
line for that one right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Definitely in line for that. Hey, hello, Jackie. By the way, good to
I
see
wanna
you.
know-
And by the way, on your
Are they
Henry,
going to make a
hold
sequel
on,
to
on your-
Battle Angel?
What about Battle Angel?
hey,
Yeah.
Are they going to
Hold
make
on,
a
hold on,
live
guys.
action sequel?
They were supposed to. It's been talked about many times.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, hey, so Jackie, we had already mentioned the fact that Henry Cavill was in. You weren't here, obviously. Was in Man from U.N.C.L.E., and he would be a perfect James Bond. We mentioned that in the first place. Good God, guys, our first show. We didn't expect to ramble on like this, but I had it down to segments. Everybody has this time to speak. But
Yeah.
once we got
It's
into
the end segment that went long.
well, once we got into the bullpen action,
Yeah.
that's when it went off the rails.
We can just tell people that the bullpen is optional. They can stick around as long as they want, and then we'll shut up when we get tired. So
Yeah.
This time, God damn it! The second part of Andy Griffin is about to come on, and I'm sitting here looking at you guys.
yep. Yep.
I still hold to for the Bond thing. I still would love to see Idris Elba be Bond.
Oh,
Yeah, I do too, but he
Sure.
says he's too old for it.
I don't think so. I think he'd be
Yeah, but
awesome.
he's the one who says it.
I know.
Yeah.
They first brought him up 10 years ago when Daniel Craig was first talking about leaving, and he was all for it then, and he would have been great then. But I agree now. You can't have somebody start Bond at 50 years old these days.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Don't we all remember really old Roger Moore in the last
Right?
two Moore
Roger
films?
Moore was pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think an acceptable Bond would have to be in his mid-30s.
Yeah, probably.
30s or early 40s, as long as you give him 10 years.
You can get 20 years of movies out of him then, I think. You could be Bond at 55, right?
Yeah.
Hey, look. Hello. I can't be Bond. Anyway, so look, we had a great time this evening, a Wednesday evening, work evening, school evening, whatever. We are Voices from Fandom, which includes all of you, not just the faces you see on the screen. We love the comments like that has been coming in. We'd have you guys sit in the chair next to us like Jerome did and just add in your points. We're going to still have, there's Paul. Paul popped back up again. Thanks, Paul. Jackie, to answer your question, Jackie, you can always go back to the link after the show ends. You can rewatch it from the beginning. We're advertising on, notice guys, we're still on YouTube.
Yay.
We're still on YouTube.
And we're still on
Okay.
Twitch because I was watching us on Twitch.
Nice.
Good, but Twitch never kicks us off.
That's true.
So you
Twitch
can
doesn't
watch us. You can watch us after we're done on YouTube or in the Facebook page. However you got onto this show, Jackie, you can rewatch it after the show ends. Give it a few minutes, and then you can watch it from the beginning if you like to. This was great. This was better than I thought. Now we got a lot of other details coming through our head. Obviously, I'm going to force Mark to do his. By the time the next show comes around, we'll know how he's doing financially on that coloring book. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
should have
You
some
know.
idea. I hope. I mean, I found a bunch of comic book or coloring book forums to post stuff into. So we'll see.
I gotta say, I bet you get a lot of sales from people who confuse what you wrote, thinking that it's actually.
Yeah, that might happen. I mean, she's on the
wait
cover.
a minute.
I mean,
I think, in all honesty, Alita ought to get a tattoo of Mark's face on her hind parts.
well, one of the things I am going to do, though, I am going to take like maybe 10, 20 books to a convention and give them out to random people who ask about Alita. And I'm going to have her with her paw print sign the books.
Oh,
I love it.
that is so good.
I love it.
Totally doing that.
Okay, for us convention pros here, that Alita's a girl, right?
Yes.
Yes.
If that bitch gets her own table at a convention,
That would be amazing.
okay, I'm just saying, if she gets her own table at a convention, if I have to moderate her freaking panel, man, you're dead, Mark.
It would be
dead.
epic. It would be so epic.
You're dead. Okay. That's
The
all
other
we
thing
need.
I would like to do is real quick. I'd love to take a collection of books and go to like a children's hospital and bring them.
yeah.
That would be so fun. I would love that. So,
You might as well start the GoFundMe so you can get some funds to do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
I
that's
like
the path.
the kids.
Yep.
That's really.
I like
cool.
the kids' idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah. For God's sake, guys, we've been trying to get off the air for 30
Yep.
minutes now. Cool.
No,
This
this is fun.
Well,
This is Voices from Fandom. But Friday, tomorrow, the important people are at Thunderbolts. But Friday, we're going to go ahead and have our guest host here, Cheryl, halfway to Halloween. I've already seen some of her clips, and I'm really excited. Oh, my God, Cheryl, I saw I thought it was a Twilight Zone episode. I forgot what it's called, but it's like, where the hell did that come from? I've never seen that before. And then on Saturday, another guest host, we have Dennis Potter, who's going to be doing a segment on Rob Paulson, not with Rob Paulson, okay? So a segment on the great voice actor Rob Paulson. I'm looking forward to that too as well. I didn't even know he did anybody in Batman.
Oh yeah,
the animated series. Yeah, I didn't even know he did anything like that. So that was.
He's been
cool.
around for a while.
Will you wait a minute? Hold on. Put that up again, Joe.
it's the newest Spider-Man series. It's called Amazing Spider-Man. New Amazing Spider-Man. So
who is Spider-Man in this one?
it's still Peter Parker, but one of my favorite comic artists of the last decade, Pepe Larraz. By the way, if you didn't know, all the best comic artists over the last decade have been from Spain. I don't know what Spain's putting in their water, but this is from Pepe Larraz. He is just dynamic and incredible. He just mind blowing. He did a couple year stint on X-Men.
Hey Joe.
Yeah.
I bet you none of those artists were drawing over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. So this is my current read that I picked up.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited about
Predator.
this one.
Yeah.
Predator versus Wolverine.
And Wolverine. Did you see the trailer to the newest Predator movie?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all in.
Like, oh, okay. Wow. Check that out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Aliens, Predator, I'm in for both of those things always.
Yep.
What
For
is
sure.
Jackie saying? Met him, super nice guy. Met who? Who did she? What am I missing here? Who did you meet, Jackie? Who are you talking about? I know she's talking about Alita in this comment here.
Maybe Idris Elba.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I would love to have that happen.
No, you can't. Forget it. Because I'm not fielding questions from the freaking audience, okay? Unless there are subtitles.
It would be great.
I don't know who Jackie's talking about. That's one thing, guys. Another thing, when you post, when you do things in the chat, because there's a delay, you have to kind of review a little bit of what you're talking about when you post. Who's the super nice guy? Oh, wait a minute.
Wow.
Let me put Jerome up there so I can see.
Nice,
Hold that up.
Jerome.
Look at that.
Oh, that's not Jerome.
Cool.
Very nice.
Whoa.
Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I told you I
Oh
was
man,
a serious collector.
I missed the king size and the annual editions in comics. I was crazy when a king size annual edition was coming out. So
And that's
anyway,
not even the best that I have of stuff.
Oh, she met Rob Paulson.
no. Oh, Rob Paulson. Yes,
yeah,
he is. I moderated his. There's a bunch of them up there. It's mostly all of the Animaniacs, along with a couple other. I think I had 8 voice actors during that time, but Rob was sitting right next to me up on the stage during that time, and he is fantastic. He's a super nice guy, absolutely super nice guy. For God's sakes, can I go to bed now? I'm already 5 minutes of Andy. You know, say I can't.
Well, I guess that's a wrap then, folks. Let's.
I'm just trying to find how to get us off. So you just keep rambling here.
Okay. Well, I think we're gonna do a mini like post-credit show for Cheryl on Friday to kind of wrap up our thoughts on Thunderbolts. But we'll see you guys in a month. We're gonna do this monthly. We'll all have new things to talk about. I'm thinking about doing some video games next time, and
already
talked about doing another board game, and who knows what Lee is going to do.
So
I always do. I always do anything you guys aren't doing.
I'll probably do something about Johnny Quest or like his eternal hate for the Smurfs. Something.
Thank you for that thought.
Yeah.
And of course, Jerome, you'll see on Friday and Saturday, guys. Thank you for that. Thank you for showing up. Team, hang around after we go off. I need to. Oh, wait a minute. I should have put this in.
I might eventually do one of these things. I'm big into the history of fandom.
Well, you haven't been invited.
I didn't say I was. I'm thinking I'll just do like what they did, like Asimov did in the very first Worldcon, crash the gate.
God, man, nobody respects the finger. I don't understand. Nobody respects the finger. You know, it's like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do, and there's no way you can stop. Where'd he go? You know?
That's okay. When I'm invited, I'll think about something.
We need a sign off of some sort. So at the end of all my videos, I'm always like, until next time, folks, we'll see you at the table.
That sucks. Anyway, so
I've had that for 10 years. I've been saying that.
Well,
so the best comment ever around that was somebody said, I've been waiting at my table all day for this guy, and he hasn't shown up yet.
Well, I think our sign off could be like, well, that was Voices of Fandom. Now it's time for us to shut up.
Yes.
Hey, guys, we're going to see you on Friday evening. It's the end of the week. Make sure you have some sort of alcoholic beverage, non-alcoholic or alcoholic, for Friday night. That's going to be a great show with Cheryl. And then we'll give you a little mini spoiler-free review on Thunderbolts from the 3 of us. Other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us. Our first show. Good God. Thank you. This was great. Talk to you guys soon.